Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today we're going to have a go at this apple blossom. The old name for it was Ivanagara, one of those two. That's probably on the tag. Ivanagara apple blossom. That bit's changed, it's called something else now. On my labels, they're different colours. The red is awful. The red fades to pink really fast. It doesn't retain virtually any red. That's not even the red it started out of. That's the bit that was in the ground. So the red's not very good at all. The blue and the green and the yellow seem okay. The red's just pretty naff. Turns pink. Nonetheless, it signifies a set. Right, now this is a bad plant. It went wrong a while back. First of all, it got burnt in the sun. Although it's a Cattleya type, this doesn't like quite such highlight as some other Cattleyas will put up with. So these leaves got burnt. That was around the other place. They don't ever recover from that, obviously. You know, once they're burnt, they're burnt. Now my idea is to take a fair bit of the older part of this plant off today. There's some deformed areas. There's a badly damaged. This bulb here, this is not the sheath over the top of it, that's damage, and I never found out what did that. Never found out what did that damage. It's eaten away the surface of the bulb. The surface of the bulb was completely gone. So there's damage on it. I've got two of the newer bulbs that have gone leafless. I've got a very weak growth coming out the side. And the latest growth throwing out all the new roots has come up off of this bulb in the middle of the plant. So to get that down near the base of the, near the media, I would have to bury the ends of these bulbs. So this is not going to be easy to get this set up. But the back end of the plant I'm just going to take off. I'm sort of like starting this one again, so that hopefully even the leaves off of that weak new growth, which I'll probably write off. I don't mean cut off, I'll just write it off for any view of blooming or anything. But the leaves that come on this new growth that's pushing out a lot of new roots, hopefully will be good leaves, and they'll help put some strength back into the plant. Right, first job we've got to do is get it out of the pot. Now this was wired in, so obviously the first job is to get the wire out of the way, otherwise it's never going to come out. I'm using this is my root rake for my bonsai, but it's also got that on the end of it, which is blunt but very strong. So I'm hoping that that will do, not only bending the wire to get the wire out, but it will also help me go around the edge of the pot to get the plant to actually come out. I mean, we put a lot of wire on this, didn't we? Forget how long ago this was repotted, or when it was potted up in the holey clay pot. The idea of putting the Cattleyas in the holey clay pot was that they could stay in there a nice long time. Unfortunately with this one I decided to put some cocoa husk in the mix. I really don't know why I did that, but I did. And as a consequence, obviously the media is not lasting as long as it would have done otherwise. Right, so let's just see if we can pull this wire out now. If not, I'll cut it in the middle and pull it out. In fact, that's probably the best thing to do, is cut it in the middle and pull it out from both sides. Not struggling with so much of it then. Should just pull out a lot easier then. I can find where the middle is, of course. We've got another one here. Seems to go right through the base. It's coming out okay, so just teasing it out with the pliers. leave her against the pot. You know, these pots are relatively precious because I'd have a hell of a job ever getting them again. The story behind these holey clay pots is that on Rachel's channel, Gardening at Douenza, the channel used to be called something else, I'm sure it did. She posted these as available in a garden centre near her, and I asked if she could get me some, and boy did that turn into a saga. First of all, they wouldn't post outside of Ireland, so that was that out. So the only way for Rachel to do it was to buy them herself and send them to me herself. And she couldn't find anybody to do the courier work, to actually, you know, get them to the UK and to me. But eventually she did, and obviously I reimbursed her, but I bought some of these larger ones like this and some smaller sized ones, and even with the cost of the courier and everything, by the time they got to me in the UK, they were less than £3 each. Now, why can't somebody in the UK get these going for that sort of price? You get a holey clay pot like that with the holes already in it in the UK, you'd probably pay £10. Or you can buy them without holes in and put the holes in yourself. There's always that option, of course. I wonder how easy this plant's going to come out. I don't think this is going to be an easy one. The last one that we did came out quite easily. I don't think this one's going to play ball somehow. Seems incredibly tightly packed in there. So we might end up cracking the pot on this one. I hope not, but you never know. I mean, the thing is, I doubt if I'll ever use them again. There are certain things that might grow quite nicely in these pots, but in this environment, Cattleyas are not one of them. And the reason is the evaporative cooling effect in my winter months. That's where the problem lies. It's the, where's my new growth? There. We don't want to do that again, do we, like we did last time? Brute strength required. Right, so the first thing we do is gather together the large chunky bark that will still be rock hard and reusable. So that's this stuff. Despite being in the bottom of the pot where it might have stayed wetter, this is rock hard bark. It will not break down. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. Right, so now we can get at what we've got. Looks like this was potted in mainly that large bark. Most of what's coming out. There's an awful lot of old dead bits on this plant. I'm doing it gently because obviously there are new root tips around, but there's just a mass of dead roots at the base of this plant that are serving no purpose. They're all papery. Right, so the best idea now is I'm just going to have to go and get my secateurs. I'm not using my scissors on a thick rhizome. I'm just going to cut the back end of the plant off, the bit that I have no intention of keeping. That way I can stop trying to get the roots off of that part of the plant. So we'll just go in and cut that there. Now we can separate the plant. And that will get rid of an awful lot of the old roots. And now what we've got left is what we're going to deal with. And that too includes an awful lot of old dead roots. Hoping to end up with a much smaller plant when I've finished here, with the new roots hopefully heading down. I've got some cotton wool buds and some alcohol over there, because I am also aware that there are scale showing at the base of this plant, and I don't know whether they're alive or not. They shouldn't be. You know, I've virtually eradicated scale now, but if I clean this up while I've got it out of the pot, especially around the base of the pseudobulbs with the alcohol and the cotton wool tips, so that there aren't any scale showing anymore, then if they come back I know they're not dead. Or they weren't dead, because they've come back to life, so to speak. So that's the plan. Just get rid of this, all these old dead roots. They form like a block, you know, and they stop the new roots. They block up the path of the new roots down into the media, which is not good stuff. So a misconception. I think what's happened here is a plant fell over near this one, and some of the cocoa husk that was in that plant fell into the top of this plant, leading me to believe I'd potted it up with some cocoa husk. Do you see any cocoa husk here? Because I don't. This is just large chunky bark. But nonetheless, I don't want my warm growing Cattleyas in holey clay pots going into another winter because of that evaporative cooling effect. Oh, there is a bit of cocoa husk in there, like about 3 pieces. I think they may well have fallen in there off of another plant. But despite the dead roots, the actual root area is a healthy root area. There's no rot or anything showing, and the excuse me, the bark is still good. So will be just reused as is. But we won't be going back into the holey clay pots. We'll be going back into a plastic plot, which can then sit inside a black pot to stop the algae forming. So I'm just getting all the bark I want to reuse up in this top corner up here. So is this worth doing anything with the back end? I don't think it is, quite frankly. I'm just going to stand that in the pot. Stop it falling around. I mean, both the pseudobulbs have got burnt leaves on. There's no sign of any new growth on that part of the plant. There's no eyes showing and no live roots. They're all dead. I think we'll just discard that. I don't think that's worth hanging on to. But what I will do is cut it up. And the reason I'm cutting it up is it's got to go in my bag of rubbish, and it will go in there an awful lot easier if I keep a bag in here now, so that tidying up is quick and easy from now on. I don't have to mess around, and because this goes in the landfill, because it gets all sorts chucked in it, I don't have to worry about bits of wire going in there. There's always used to have to separate everything out, so I can get cleared up an awful lot quicker nowadays. Just all goes in these bags, gets tied up, and goes in the associated bin. You know, I mean, this sort of bark could be sorted out and put out on the garden, I suppose, but we're already dealing with a mulch out on the garden, you know. So, you know, we're now cleared up. Unfortunately, we can't go ahead with the repot because I haven't got a new pot ready to go yet. And I've forgotten my coffee again. Well, that shows the video hasn't been going long because my coffee's still hot. But what we will do in this session is I need some more alcohol. I didn't realise that it got that low. That was mixing up the hippie soap, did that. We just put a bit of alcohol in a glass. It only needs a tiny amount, and then we will get one of these cotton wool buds, and we will go over the base of the plant, making sure sheaths are off and no sign of scale is left behind. Nothing. So in theory what I'm doing now is getting the bodies off, but should any of them be alive, taking them off using this method means they're not alive anymore, they're dead, because I'm killing them as I'm taking them off with the alcohol. So hopefully we will be scale free in all senses, you know, non-visible and non-alive. That's the theory. So there's a couple of bits of bark that are stopping me getting down to the base of that particular pseudo bulb. I don't think these are alive, quite honestly. But better be safe than sure, you know, better be safe. Just go for it while I've got access. It's much easier to do when the plant's out of the pot, in between pseudo bulbs. Right at the base, that's where they get favourite hidey hole. Come round onto this one. Right, I think that'll do it. So there are no visible scale, dead or alive, at the base of the plant now. They are all gone. I've got none in the joints of the leaves, those have been cleaned out long before. I'm happy with that. Right, go back and sit in there so those root tips don't get damaged. And I'll be back with a pot and some wire, because that plant might actually stand up on its own. In fact, it probably would, but it wouldn't be very secure. I'll see how it sits in the pot when I get it, but that's down in the shed, so I'll be back. Okay, I bought a few up this time. I'm probably going to need some more for some of the other Cattleyas that I plan on doing. So, right, now I'm going to look at the plant to see where the wire would need to go to hold this steady. Now there's an obvious place there, yeah, which is nowhere near my new growth, and there's no roots. So, but just over that piece would pull that plant down nicely, but it would be lopsided, it would be one-sided. So it could do with a piece over this part of the plant as well. So if we've got two pieces alongside each other, we need two pieces of wire, either side of the one each side of the pot. So let's see what we can do then. Did bring my wire out? Yes. Okay. So one, and another one about the same length. Like that. That's out of the way. More coffee. Right. And any preparation really is choosing the two holes I want to come up through. And I'm just going to go through that one. It's very, very well ventilated, these pots. Many holes. And actually, I've got a feeling that wire might be a bit short. We shall see. Oh, I don't know. Should be okay. Right, so that's one. other side of the pot and do the same sort of thing again and come up through there and there. That'll do. Those two. Just flatten them across the bottom of the pot. Now it doesn't matter that they're waggling about. The plant's going to end up holding them still in a minute. So, but we could stop them waggling about. Those two anyway. I'll stop. Yeah, we can just about stop those two. Right. So lots of media. Where's the plant going to go? Going to sit. See, that's a little bit more. Do you know, I didn't trim the rest of those dead roots off, did I? I forgot, I'll do it now. We got so far and stopped, got sidetracked. That'll do. Right, now I can see where the plant's going to sit. Sort of like that. Put a bit more big stuff in the centre of the pot, which will just lift the plant in the centre so that it sits on it. Because I'm actually going to get some medium bark to go round the plant. I need to twist this plant slightly so that these two bits of wire come together over that piece of the rhizome. Out to one side and put a twist in them. Right, and we can come round and get the pliers on that, pull them nice and tight. First thing I need to do is cut the ends off because it stops the pliers getting in tight to where the twist is. So you just take the ends off. Now the pliers can go over that part and twist nicely. Just twist it up until it sort of bites, and then you can judge how tight you want to pull it. And bearing in mind we're in a plastic pot now, not a clay pot, we don't go too mad pulling the wire tight or we will tear the bottom of the pot. Right, that side's nice and tight. And then we come round to where we were going to go across for the other one, which I'm going to change my mind and go round the back of that whole section of that plant. And I'm just going to readjust this because the new growth is out to the left of this section of the plant, so I want to do all my messing about with the pliers on the right section of this plant, like the twisting, so that I don't knock that little new growth off. It might start to grow properly, but at the moment it's incredibly weak. And this little part is attached to this big plant. It's not like a separate little piece. Well, I'm pretty sure it's not. Again, we take the ends off. I must get some new wire cutters. These are just, they don't close together properly, and over the years they've just got blunt and they're almost impossible to sharpen. Right, now we should be able to get our pliers in there and do the twisting. I'm glad I pushed that wire around that side because I'd have probably ended up knocking the new growth off. Nice and firm, yep. Half a twist more. Half a twist more. And then push those sharp ends down into the pot so that I don't ever catch my fingers on them again. Okay, so our new growth is right in the centre of the pot. It is a good strong new growth, it's just come out in a very strange, almost silly place. But it has pushed some nice roots out, and then we've got our tiny little growth there that's it may not progress. So the plant is now secure on top of large bark. I'm going to put a bit more large bark round what is the back of the plant where there are no roots and no new growths. There's no point in having any smaller bark in that area. This bark is just nothing more than decorative. It's just to make the top of the pot look nice. There's never going to be anything growing in it. And in this area here, where we have got growth, we will put medium bark. So we'll chuck a handful of that on there and spread it out. No pressing down, there's just no need. I'll just water it, and the ends of those new roots are now down in the media. Watering will slowly but surely compact that bark. It will find, because it's all lots of different shapes, it will find its own position and it will sort itself out. And the new little growth down there that hasn't really got any roots coming out of it is not buried. So that little growth is not buried. If it does produce roots, they will go in the media. And the place where there are roots has got media already there. The root tips are down below. We can see the roots, but that's not the growing tips. The growing tips are down in the media. So that's it. Short and sweet. And put our faded label back in. That's badly faded, isn't it? Never mind, it does the job. Not that I'd ever forget this one. So we've got rid of quite a lot of the manky leaves. We've still got too much light on this bulb. Not so much light on this one, so it didn't get so much coloration. And these stayed virtually green. So we'll see how it grows now, but that'll have to go out in the kitchen and have a very, very good watering, because it's all brand new bark and large bark, which this hard bark that was in the bottom that I've reused, that doesn't soak up any water. You can get it wet, but it doesn't hold water, so it dries incredibly fast. So for a fast wet dry cycle, which is ideal for Cattleyas, this stuff is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So there we go, that's that one done. The next one I will be doing in a holey clay pot is the Laelia anceps, but that's not quite right yet. There's some eyes that have only just started to push, I think, and I haven't got my new root growth that I'm waiting for, so that one's on hold. And I've got two Cattleya types in smaller holey clay pots that are growing nicely, have plenty of room to grow, and there's nothing wrong with the media they're in. So I'm probably going to leave them where they are for now. And then I've got my giant purpurata that doesn't look very nice at all. It has one new growth. It's in a large holey clay pot, and the rest of the leaves are awful. So it's not a very nice plant at all. But I'm hoping that successive new growths will reinvigorate it, and then parts of the old plant can perhaps be cut off. But like this one, you know, get rid of the older parts. But I'm hoping this one will start growing sensibly now, because this one's had a period where the bulbs have come out and then the bulbs have headed off sort of sideways and put like a curve in the bulb. So, and then there's this one with this damage on. As I said, I never found out what did that damage. It's you know, it's pretty extensive. It's really eaten into the bulb. It looks like critter damage to me, but I never found out one way or the other. So there we go. That's that one, and I'll see you next time. Just remember, with Ivanagara apple blossom and its many now named versions. I've got the original, I believe, but there are many named versions now. Go careful with those named versions, because they're moving away from the original. The original colours, I'll pop up of the bloom, are delicately balanced and they look wonderful. It's like yellows, pinks and magenta, and they fade into each other, and you've got that really strong freesia fragrance. And that's the original. You start getting into the named versions. I mean, I've seen one that's almost white. Well, for me, I see no point. And I know for a fact that the more you hybridize and get, you know, various named versions, you're probably moving away from the fragrance as well, but I don't know that for sure. So anyway, go steady with the named versions. You sometimes lose that gentle fading of the colours into each other, which makes this bloom so special. Well, does for me anyway. Right, and don't forget, these don't need the same amount of light as you would normally give Cattleyas to get them to bloom, because some of them do need highlight or they will not bloom. They'll grow nicely, but they won't bloom. But this one, if you give it too much, you will get the purple starting to show, so it does give you a warning shot. And if your whole plant turns purple, it's too much light. Get it out. And in a lot of cases, if the purple is a direct result of, it's a defensive mechanism. It stops so much light being absorbed and doing cell damage to the leaves. That's why it changes the colour like that. It's a chemical reaction to strong light, I believe. And if that is the reason your leaves went purple, rather than any imbalance in feed, fertilizer elements, then it should revert back to green eventually, and a dose of Epsom salts might help that happen. Anyway, that's that one done, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.